You're listening to the Men in Blazers Media Network, Suboptimal Radio.
Move the ball quicker. She wants that speed of play and that switch to be a lot faster.
Understanding it's going to need to be moving forward for the U.S. Here's Rodman in the box! Trinity Rodman has her first goal in a U.S. uniform!
It's Rog back with another episode of The Women's Game, presented by Paramount Plus. My guest today is one of the true phenoms of the American game, a player who's dreamed big dreams and then made them real. Become the youngest player ever drafted to the NWSL? Check. Win the Rookie of the Year? Check. Get your first call-ups to the national team age just 19 and then be nominated for the Ballon d'Or and named to Time Magazine's 100 Next at age 20. Also, Queen of the TikTok dance vid. Who says you can't do it all? It's a joy to welcome a woman for whom the word ceiling just seems to have no meaning whatsoever. From your Washington Spirit and US Women's National Team, it's Trinity Rodman.
Wow, what an introduction. What is up, Raj?
Oh, Trinity, it's all true. That's the amazing part. I mean, when you hear that, can you believe that it's all true? Because it's quite astonishing, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you hear it all together.
Oh, I've just written your biography and it is magnificent. But let's start at the beginning. You grew up in Newport Beach, that coastal SoCal jewel box, best known from its portrayal on the OC as a hub of water polo and angsty teenagers. But you were born in 2002, just 1 year before the OC itself. Take us back to your early days of football. You started playing about the age of 4, I believe.
I started playing soccer when I was 4. I kind of have always had that competitiveness, even at that young age, which is so bizarre because most people don't have that. But yeah, I think I had that, and I tried other sports too. I tried volleyball, basketball, football. Believe it or not, I did tackle football with my brother, which is crazy.
Until what age, Trinity?
Oh, no. When I say I played football, I mean I tried it for a day and I ran away and became the cheerleader because I was so terrified.
Oh, but take us to the football field. You said that competitive edge. Age 4. What would go through your mind in those early days of kicking a ball? I must destroy all comers.
Pretty much. I think I definitely get it from my dad and my mom, but I don't know. I feel like at that age, you usually don't even really know how to score, what scoring means, or if you won the game or not. And I think when I was young, playing, even just being little and having a brother that's so close to age and me, and everything was a competition, even just racing to the car in the mornings. So I think I got that from having a sibling that was so close in age. So I don't know. Every single time I stepped foot on the field, I just wanted to win, and that was all that was on my mind.
Aged 8, you had quite an evaluator of talent watch one of your games and tell you that you, quote, were quite a stud. Tell us who it was and what happened.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant was one of the most amazing human beings, the nicest people, and his entire family was just the most genuine people I've ever met. And I think obviously with him and my dad being in the NBA, it was nice for them to have kind of an understanding when they came to the games and knew that all eyes were going to be on them. But yeah, he came to a couple games, and after one of the games when I was all down and beat up about losing at 4 years old, he had come up to me and I was just really upset, not really knowing that it wasn't that serious. And he was just kind of telling me you can do whatever a man can do, and you're such a stud, and this sport's going to take you everywhere. So, I mean, it was just extremely inspirational, and I'll never forget it.
To hear that from him, you can do whatever a man can do. What seed did that sow in your head?
Just to never be intimidated, even with men's sports and stuff. I think it's easy to be oh, men are way more athletic. Their agility is better. They're stronger. They're making more money. There's so many factors that you can say that men are better at and have more of. But I think just hearing it from such a legend like Kobe Bryant was okay, no intimidation, just shoot for the stars and do whatever you can do.
And you did do whatever you can do. You excelled at both basketball and soccer as a kid. Your father, we need to acknowledge, is 5-time NBA champion Dennis Rodman. Your brother DJ plays college ball for Washington State University, Wazoo. What made you decide to tilt towards our game over basketball?
I think I've always said this, just the comfortability I had on the field and using my feet. And like people always make fun of me because my feet are so big, and they're like, "Oh, it's probably so much easier to hit the ball because you have so much surface area."
Oh my God.
But yeah, I don't know. I loved basketball. I loved all sports because they were competitive. But I think on the field in soccer, I was so comfortable dribbling with my feet and like kicking and running and chasing the ball. It was the comfortability part for me. And I don't know. The passion was there so much more than any other sport.
I read a lovely quote of yours that I really adore. You said, I felt really at home playing soccer, kind of safe. If I was upset, I wanted to go play soccer. If I was mad, I wanted to go play soccer. If I was happy, I wanted to go and play soccer. It was just a game for every one of your moods.
Yeah, and I think that's how soccer should be. No matter how high of a level you're at, that should be your safe space. And at the end of the day, soccer is just a sport, and you should always have fun playing it. And like that's kind of how like I live by, and like I think people know on the field, I'm always laughing, I'm always cracking jokes, but I'm also very intense. So I think it can open up a lot of different gateways.
Dennis Rodman was one of the greatest rebounders the NBA has ever seen, and you've said there are similarities in how you both approach your sport with competitiveness, aggression, and drive. But you've also said something fascinating about what having that last name on the back of your jersey has brought to your game, that you believe you're more driven because of all those trying to put you down, comparing you to your dad.
There's always going to be comparisons because they're both professional sports, but you're going from an NBA great of a man to a women's soccer player that's 18 years old at the time. So it's like there's always those comparisons. But I think for me, I was always striving to be better, and it was never trying to do more and never trying to achieve more than my dad. It was just kind of creating my own path and like making Rodman my name just as much as it was his.
Who were your footballing heroes, your own role models when you were growing up?
Growing up, I always loved watching Tobin Heath's game. She brought so many aspects to the game: technicality, outside shooting, dribbling, creativity, decisiveness. I don't know. I always loved watching her play. You never knew what she was going to do. And I think that's kind of what I want to be, is kind of the person on the field that you have no idea if I'm going to kick it and run around you, or if I'm going to combine in the middle, or if I'm going to take an outside shot. Like, I think having that in your game is like so influential, and like no one's going to be able to stop you.
God, that unpredictability, that is what you looked at and were like, that I want. Although with Tobin, you kind of knew what she was going to do. She was going to nutmeg you, but you couldn't.
Yeah. Exactly. There's no preparing for it. It's the difference.
And there's no stopping it.
Yeah.
As a teen, you began to transform from a good player to a truly great one. You've said as a kid, and I think a lot of our listeners will relate to this, that you had a tough outer shell, that you found it hard to take on criticism. Has that been a process? How did you teach yourself to open yourself to it?
As you move up in like the level that you're playing at, growing up and kind of being like sort of on the best team or like one of the top players, it's easy to get comfortable, especially at a young age, because you're like, okay, like I'm the best, I don't got to work on anything. Like it's easy to like put that in your head. And I think I did that for a minute, and coming into this professional environment and being around people that are at your level and even higher, that are still working just as hard or harder than people below to be the next level and to be the best. And I think it was just seeing these vets around me that changed it completely for me. It's like, you're never going to be perfect, and you're never going to be the best player. There's always going to be certain things you have to work on, and you just have to keep an open mind to it.
There is a traditional pathway most elite women footballers in this country walk towards success. It's very much youth soccer to college to pro, a path that you seem to be cruising down. After high school, you were headed to Washington State, but because of the pandemic, your freshman season was cancelled, which must have been an enormously devastating disappointment. You were stuck at home with your magical mum and your brother DJ. You started to ache to play. The seed about turning pro started to take root. Take us inside those conversations back in the early days of the pandemic.
Anybody in the professional environment, their dream is to be a professional soccer player. And for me, it was that. And I think obviously my thought process was, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to have a kick-ass year. Can I not say that?
You can say that. You okay.
I didn't know. But I'm going to have a good year. I don't know. Like, in my head, I never knew, obviously, like, whatever opportunities were going to come about, like, I would be grateful, but I never knew if I'd be able to get drafted the first year, second year, third year, have to finish college, whatever. So I had planned on just going to college and seeing what happened. But clearly, that didn't really happen. Yeah, it got canceled. I ended up going to Washington State and then coming right back home. I kind of was like, I'm in this really awkward space where I don't have a season. I'm at home. I don't really know what I'm training for because, like, I'm not playing soccer right now. And, I mean, I had the opportunity, and I talked to my mom a lot. I was like, what if I regret it? What if I'm not good enough? What if I needed the first year of college to develop? All these what ifs, obviously, having those conversations. But in the end, I knew that this was something I've been wanting to do for 14 years, and I was ready to go.
Was it a difficult decision, Trinity?
Oh, 100%. I was very scared, and I wasn't like self-doubtful, but like obviously the thought of going professional after being in like a youth club team, like having no really experience besides the youth national team, which is like completely different. Looking back, I'm like, nothing can like prepare you for what is in store in this league. But yeah, it was a hard decision. But I think once I came to the decision, I was like stuck on it. There was no like back and forth. It was kind of like, oh, I don't know. But then once I made that decision, I was like, okay, I'm sticking with it. I'm going.
Flash forward to NWSL Draft Day, January 13th, 2021. A draft held on Zoom because of the pandemic, and you participated in it from your mum's house in Newport Beach. What goes through your heart and your mind as you are sitting there waiting to be drafted with your whole future up for grabs and about to be determined outside of your control?
Yeah, it was terrifying. It was the most nervous I've ever been in my life. Like, I was sitting in front of a computer not moving, and I was like dripping in sweat. I was like, Mom, I am so nervous. Like, what is about, like, I don't know where I'm going to be. Like, this is in somebody else's hands, and I'm just sitting in front of a computer screen waiting to hear my name. So, yeah, it was extremely nerve-wracking. But, I mean, once I heard my name, I was just like, oh my gosh, like my dream just came true. Like, no matter what happens after this, like my name just got called and I'm about to do what I've been wanting to do forever. So, I mean, so many emotions, but it was the most surreal experience.
Sitting in front of a computer dripping in sweat, you pretty well just described my entire career. But yeah,
Lovely.
but welcome to my life, Trinity Rodman. But spoiler alert, you were selected second overall by the Washington Spirit, becoming the youngest player ever to be drafted at just 18 years, 238 days old. And I was watching, and the moment I just adored, in that second, your mum, I don't think she could have waited much longer than the second pick, to be honest, because in the
she was right there. She was right there.
She was right there. I mean, I don't know what it was like for you. I'd love to know. But in the broadcast, she just rockets into frame when they announce you and just starts dancing in a Team Trin hat.
Yeah, so I had a bunch of friends and family over, and it was funny because, like, I didn't know what, like, the setup was going to be like. I had no idea how much waiting there was going to be, how it was going to be set up. So I basically, on the other side of the camera, there was, like, 10 or 15 people just, like, waiting. And I'm just sitting here, my mom's next to me, and, like, I think I was so nervous. I wasn't even thinking about my mom being right there. Like, when my name was going to be called, I was just like staring at the camera. I was like, okay. And then as soon as I got called, my mom ambushed me. I was like ready for it. I like started laughing. My mom was super happy. There was just a bunch of cheering, and I don't know. It was so awesome. And seeing my mom that happy, like, made me happy, seeing how proud she was.
I like to imagine that half of your mum's closet is just customized Team Trinity Rodman fan gear.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like, we'll be walking around, like, after a game or something, and she'll have a Team Trent hat, a Spirit shirt, some shoes, all this stuff, and people will be like, oh my gosh, Trinity's mom, and they're like, how do they know? I'm like, how do they know? I wonder how. It's the best.
She's so subtle and nuanced, you know. How do they know? How could they know?
She's just laying so low these days.
But she is an incredible human being, Michelle. when you were drafted, you made that very clear in one of your first interviews. You talked about, I think it was with The Guardian, and it was really beautiful. You said, having a dad like I do, no one asks about my mum because she's obviously not an NBA star. But even though she wasn't in the NBA, she has an extremely competitive and driven mindset. She's an extremely strong woman. She's my role model. I love that in the moment when I read it. And I've always wanted to ask you, what lessons did Michelle instill in you over the years?
I think the biggest one that sticks with me and will stick with me for the rest of my life is you're entitled to nothing. And humility is the biggest part of success. Being cocky and being flashy and being out there, and like, you don't have to let people know how good you are, how talented you are, how good of a person you are. Like, if you know that within yourself, you're going to make people around you better, and better people, better players, better teammates, like anything. And I think humility is the biggest thing that she taught me. And it's easy being in the spotlight. It's difficult and it's easy to get a big head. But I don't know, my mom was super good about that and always helping me become a better person and a better soccer player. Even though she didn't play soccer, she has always helped me become better just with the mindset.
Oh, hashtag Team Trin.
Hashtag Team Trin, baby.
I am fascinated about that moment, though. There's the joy, there's the relief of being drafted second, and then there's the immediate aftermath, the analysis. As some pundits doubted you, there was immediate talk that the Spirit were taking a massive risk using that number 2 overall pick to select a player with, in glaring headlights, no college experience. The youngest player drafted in league history. There was talk about, would Rodman be a one-dimensional threat? And we can laugh now. But you've said in an interview since then, you heard all those criticisms, you read them, you saw them, you stored them away. You tapped into them as motivation, I believe. But what was it like, that experience, hearing that immediately amidst your joy? What did it honestly make you feel?
Being young, it's easy to get caught up in the comments and the hate comments, the negativity, the doubt. And little me, I was reading every comment. I'm like, what do people have to say? Not that it even matters, because now it's just like, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. But yeah, at the time, it was a bummer to like hear that people were doubting, but it was understandable. I mean, it was a big risk, and I think I know that, my mom knows that, everybody knows that. But yeah, moving forward and actually going into the professional environment, I definitely did use that as motivation, and proving people wrong and pushing myself to limits I didn't even know were possible.
You know, did you hear that though? People, coaches, some fans, a sense that they'd expect more of you off the bat than you were possibly able to give them. Trinity, did you feel doubt? And if so, what do you do with doubt?
I honestly don't know if I ever doubted myself. I think there was nerves and maybe a little bit of anxiety, but I don't think I ever doubted myself, just because I don't have to live up to anybody's expectations. And for me, I was grateful, and I didn't know how much I was going to play, who I was going to play with, if I'd even dress for games. I think for me, it was just like trying to get better and doing as much as I could with the lack of experience. So I don't think I ever doubted myself. I was just always looking forward and trying to get better and trying to do whatever I could to help the team.
Into the NWSL, the pro game. I know it was an adjustment at the beginning, the speed and skills that had rocketed you past defenders at a youth level. Competing against players who were as fast as you or faster, they didn't give you the same advantage. It was more physical. You had less time on the ball. Was there a moment in training early on, or even just watching your teammates up close, that stuck out in your mind as, wow, woof, this is going to be next level?
Oh yeah, not even a question. I can replay it in my mind so many times. In training, I remember Sonnet, we were going against each other in small-sided, and you know, everybody knows how aggressive Sonnet is and how intense she plays. Before I didn't know, defenders can bump you on your way into the box. Like, what's that? So I was running and I was trying to get in for a cross, and she, being a freaking veteran, she was like, no, you're not getting into the box. So she bumped me so hard, I swear I was not breathing for 30 seconds. Like, I was like, oh, that's what it's gonna be like. That was the moment. I was like, all right, maybe check your shoulder, Trin, like maybe do something. But yeah, that was a wake-up call for me, and every training moving forward was kind of like that. I felt like a little kid being bullied, but it was great because it helped me it helped me improve.
Emily Sonnet, just what a black belt she has in the dark arts, and I say that with admiration and awe, but crucially, because I think this speaks to your character as an athlete more than almost anything. You said, every single mistake I made, I learnt from it. Can you talk about that approach to the game? Because it asks a lot of you as a human being to fail and learn early on when you're really trying to prove yourself fearlessly.
It's really easy to beat yourself up, especially in games where all eyes are on you, or you could have a goal and you miss a breakaway. Like, there's always so many things that like you can beat yourself up for and say it's my fault, it's my fault. But at the end of the day, like, you're not going to have a perfect game. Like, nobody has a perfect game. And I think also just being around vets and older, more experienced players, you get to learn and know that like failure is a part of success, and you just learn from it. Like, there's no point of like setting yourself back by beating yourself up. You got to think about, why did I miss? Like, why did I fail this dribble? Why didn't I get back on deep? Like, so many other things. It's just like learning from those things and asking the why instead of like, dang, I should have done that.
God, as someone that's just beat themselves up their whole life, I listen to you with incredible admiration. But the on-field adjustment was not the only one. You are the quintessential West Coaster, and the East Coast, the cold, the snow, no in and out. How hard was that adjustment?
Yeah, in and out was definitely the hard. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it was difficult for sure. I think there had been so much going on in the beginning. Like, it was just go, go, go all the time that I didn't really get to like think about it. But once there was, it's like certain moments as an 18-year-old, you're like, oh, I wish my mom was here. I wish my brother was here. Like, just to like talk to in person, you know? And I think that was probably the hardest part for me. And yeah, weather over here is a lot different. California, you get like 60 to 80 degrees all year long. You got that window. Here you got 105 to 30 degrees. It's like, what is going on? So there was a lot that I had to adjust to, but I mean, I'm here and I love it now, and it's been great.
Now, the Spirit did a fascinating thing to support you. They asked former US women's national team goalkeeper, icon, Hall of Famer, the great Brianna Scurry, to mentor you. Can you talk about that relationship and the most important thing that you learned from conversations with Brianna?
Yeah, she is amazing. Like, I think she's such an amazing person, and I mean, she was a great, and being in that environment and being past it, I think she knows how difficult it can be. And being within the national team too, it's hard to adjust, like, not just to NWSL, but NWSL and the national team. It's like two completely different environments. And she's just been awesome, just like being there for me, like whenever I have to talk, and just like staying positive about it while also being realistic. So it's really nice to like have conversations with somebody that can connect, rather than having those conversations with somebody who like can't. Like, there's a difference between like talking to your mom and talking to somebody who's actually been in that environment and can teach you things.
God hail Brianna Scurry. By the way, quick plug, she should win a Pulitzer for that autobiography. But the first game of your pro career, Cary, North Carolina, the first game actually of the 2021 Challenge Cup, you substituted in the 55th minute. Take us back to that incredible moment in your life. What, you're standing on the side of the field, you're about to come in, fulfill your dream of becoming a professional for the first time. What emotions go through your head as you're about to enter the field? Is it excitement, nerves, total focus and confidence?
I didn't think I was going to get in that game at all. I was like, oh, little old rookie, I'll get in next year or something. Like, I had no idea. And then once my name was called, I sprinted over, put my shin guards in. I was waiting. I was like, whoa, like, this is about to happen. And all that was on my mind was just like, work hard, run, work hard, run. Like, you don't need to do anything. Just like go. And yeah, it was surreal.
You only think of positive things in that moment, Trinity. Are you just like, watch out, Trinity Rodman coming? You're not like, don't F up. Oh my God, don't trip. Did I put my shin guards in the right way? You're just like positive vibes only in moments like that.
I mean, I tried hard, but yeah, in your head, you're like, are my socks pulled up? Do I have my cleats on? Is my hair out of my face? Like, so many things that are circling your mind. And yeah, I was definitely like, I have no idea what my first touch is about to be like. Like, I have no idea. But yeah, it was not all positive. I tried to be, but there was all those thoughts in the back too.
God, the hair and the face, that is a thought I have not had for a good 20 years. But it took you just 5 minutes to announce yourself. You got a perfect ball over the top from defender Natalie Jacobs. As that ball came towards you, what went through your mind? And you prepared to execute that balletic first touch?
As soon as she looked up, I just feel like we had this like eye contact, and I was like ready. On the back shoulder, I was like, this ball is going to get dropped in the perfect spot. Like in that moment, there was no doubt. I was like, no, this is going to be a perfect ball. Didn't know about my touch or anything like that, but I was like, this girl's going to play a perfect ball. So I was in that spot, and I didn't know if the defender was going to bump me. I didn't know if I was going to get sandwiched. I didn't know what was going to happen. And as it got closer, I was like, I had prepared to take it with my foot, and it was a lot higher than expected. So then I was just kind of like, get a body on it. And like the first thing that came to my head was my thigh. And my thigh just kind of like cushioned it right in front of my foot. And then, yeah, I mean, that finish worked out really well. And I don't even know if I thought about like technique. I think I was just like back of the net.
By the way, thank you, Emily Sonnet, for training you so hard. It's like the Karate Kid. It suddenly all made sense. Your first thought was, is she going to body me? Oh, yeah. God bless you, Sonnet, in every regard.
Yeah, thanks, Sonnet.
But you opened up your body for a crisp finish at pace. Is that just muscle memory?
I think so, for sure. And I think the whole preseason I had learned that, like, once you're behind the back line, like, that shot needs to be released quickly or they're going to catch up to you. So I think in that moment I was just like, kick it. Like, you need to release this quickly. And, yeah, I think in that moment I was like, you know what to do once this ball's over the top.
The celly, the double arm pump. When that ball was in the back of the net for your first professional goal, your first game, I mean, 5 minutes into your first game, becoming the youngest goal scorer in league history. What emotions do you feel there? Is it relief? Is it joy? Is it vindication? Is it a sense of I belong?
I was just so overwhelmed with happiness. Because I think we were still losing the game, I believe. Like, I had celebrated like I just won like a World Cup winning PK. We weren't even winning at that point. But I was just so happy, and I think, yeah, there was definitely relief. I was like, okay, we got this first goal. Let's really like lock in and like people now know, like let's do this. Trin's ready.
From that point on, your rookie season, what an incredible first year it ended up being for you. 8 goals on the campaign, played a major role in the Spirits Championship run, oh glory, notching the assist that our friend Kelly O'Hara knocked in the 97th minute to seal the trophy. Looking back now, that delirious whirlwind of going from starting college, having your plans crushed by the pandemic, being drafted, trying to prove yourself, to lifting the championship trophy as Rookie of the Year, all in the span of 12 months. How did you process all of that?
I don't even know, because after that year was over, I felt like it was like a week long. It had flown by so quickly. It was unbelievable. But I think, I don't know. I don't even think I processed the year till like the end of off season. I didn't really think about everything that had happened till like way later. I was like in every moment, and like once a moment happened, I was on to the next and on to the next. So I think after that championship, when it was the most amazing thing, our whole team, all of our family got to be together, and it was just the most amazing moment. And once I got back home, I was like, oh, I was kind of like, oh, I want to go back. It was kind of like you're out of reality. Now you kind of got to start training for the next season, and it's kind of like you don't want it to be over. So I did have a feeling of that, but I don't know. I was so happy and so proud of everything that had happened that season.
I think my favourite post-championship headline was, "This is Trinity Rodman's world, and we're just living in it." Many of the same journalists who had doubted you had now seen the light. That sense of vindication, that sense of self must have been just an adrenaline-filled journey.
Obviously, it's like you don't need to care about what people think, but then it's like once you prove to people that doubted you that you're able to do it, it feels so much better just for yourself, knowing that like you pushed yourself to a limit you didn't know, but also that others didn't know you could get to. So I mean, yeah, it was awesome. And like it's hilarious because it's like all the journalists and all these people that want to talk, it's like they talk about in the moment like, oh, Trinity Rodman's not going to do anything, and it's like, Trinity Rodman's the best player. Like, it's like completely switched and it's hilarious. But I don't know. It's great.
There's a cliche in music for bands that have a smash debut release. They talk about a second album syndrome, that it's often hard to follow up an incredible album. So too in football. The second season can sometimes be difficult, especially for young players, particularly players who've earned that spotlight. All of a sudden, you have something to lose. You have fans, commercial opportunities. Opposing coaches have a larger amount of tape on you and will be able to build a game plan to shut you down. And you, Trinity, were going in as the highest paid player in NWSL history after re-signing with the Washington Spirit on a record-breaking contract, $1.1 million for 4 years, which would have put a large target on your back in its own right. Second season, did you feel a sense of added pressure?
Yeah, 100%. I think so much more pressure the beginning of this year than I did last year, because I think it's almost an advantage when people don't know what you can do. Because it's like they don't know what you're going to come with. They don't know how to defend you. They don't know how to coach against you. Like, there's just the unknown, and I think that was an advantage in a sense. And I think going into this year, it's just like, how well do other teams know you? Like, what other factors am I going to bring to my game that's going to up me again? So I think, yeah, it's almost like trying to live up to like how good my rookie season was, but also like trying hard not to compare them too much, because I am a different player this year in little ways. But I think, yeah, there was definitely more pressure in my own head about trying to do as good or better this season. And I think it's difficult with the season that Washington Spirits had. I mean, we go from being champions to bottom of the table like the whole season. So yeah, it's been hard, but I think throughout everything, I have a great team that pushes me every day, and I'm trying to get better. So no matter what pressure there is, like, there's only so much you can do.
Parallel to your club success, you've been experiencing a remarkable run with the US national team. You played World Cup qualifying this summer, scoring a goal in the group stage against Jamaica. Huge step in establishing yourself. You've grown up watching this US women's team dominate, win trophy after trophy. You dreamt about pulling on that jersey. Can you describe what that experience has been like for you?
Just unreal. It is wild, because it's so hard not to be starstruck when you're around these people, but it's just like being a kid growing up watching them and now putting on the same jersey and stepping on the field and being like water buddies with the people that you grew up watching. It's insane, and it's still surreal to me. And I mean, stepping onto the field is a complete blessing, never mind scoring a goal. But I think this experience has been so good, and having vets around like Alex Morgan, Kelly, Megan Rapinoe, Rose, Lindsay, like all these players, like everybody brings something so different, and you're able to learn so much from so many different people that the environment is, you're not going to get worse. You're going to get so much better and better and better every single time you train with these girls.
One of the big storylines of the national team right now is the changing of the guard. Veterans being left off rosters in favour of younger players like yourself, almost like the millennials versus the Zoomers. What do you say to people who question the lack of experience of this new look US women's national team going into a World Cup year?
Even though there's lack of experience, there's so much room for improvement and so much potential, and so much, like, we have so much more to go. And having these young players intermixed with players that have been in for 5 years, players that have been in for 10 years, it's just like bringing in new players is never going to be a bad thing, because we have so much room to grow. And I think, I mean, Soph Smith, Mal Pugh, like all these young forwards, like they're killing it. And I think they're proving themselves, as well as myself. I mean, we're just going to get better and better every single time. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. So I don't think it's going to be a bad thing bringing young players in, because we're going to learn from the people that came before us and also the people that are going to come after us.
One nod to your Gen Z credentials. You, Trinity Rodman, have an incredible social media game. Your TikTok dance moves with sometimes reluctant teammates, your Insta lives in which you show off your personal style, taking on NWSL elders directly on Twitter. I have watched you. You seem so comfortable showing off your personality, determined to prove you are far more than just Trinity Rodman footballer. Is that something you think about consciously, or is that just you having an innate extrovertedness?
I'm definitely an extrovert. And I think, too, it's always been like a goal of mine to not only be known on the field, but off the field as well. Because I think I am not the same girl on the field that I am off the field. I think I am a bat out of hell on the field. I could seem like the meanest person. Like, I kick into a different zone, and being able to like show my personality off the field and my goofiness and my happiness, my positivity, like all that stuff, while being able to connect with people that follow you and support you is like so awesome. And I've always wanted to do that just as much as like when I looked up to people, I wish they would have been more active on social media.
In August, you were announced on the shortlist for the Ballon d'Or. The ceremony's a month away, and you're in contention with some of the greatest names in world football. What did it mean to you to see your name in that mix, still in the nascent stages of your career? And have you got your speech ready?
No. I keep repeating this, but it's just like everything that's been happening is so surreal. Like I have to like get myself back into reality because it feels like a dream all the time. Like it's like I don't even know, and then I'll see it on social media and I'm like, whoa, I did that? Like I got this? I got nominated? Like it's wild to me, and it's such a blessing. Like I can't even believe all the things that I've achieved, or like not even achieved, just being able to be nominated with so many talented and experienced athletes is, I mean, an accomplishment in itself. So no matter what happens, I'm so grateful, and I'm just going to keep looking forward.
When Alex Morgan was first nominated, we told her just to lean into the microphone and just say the one word, courage. It's the greatest speech ever. But big picture now, you've achieved so bloody much, so young, with joy and relief and vindication. What's your dream at this moment? At your peak, what do you want to be?
Playing a World Cup, be rostered, playing the Olympics. But I think with everything, I've always wanted to be a mentor, if that's with soccer or outside of soccer. And in any way, I think having the experience, it's nice to have people that can mentor people. And having a mentor myself has been amazing. So once I accomplish all the things I want to, and obviously having those goals that probably all these professionals have, I don't think there's a lot of goals I want to have individually. It's more of like a team thing, like being rostered and being alongside all these amazing players are eventually like my goals.
For young fans listening, what's the most important lesson that they can take from you, Trinity? The secret about how they can make their own dreams come true?
Just don't doubt yourself and don't compare to others, because the moment you start trying to make yourself similar to somebody else, or thinking that this person's left foot's better than mine, it's you're setting yourself up for failure. You can never compare to somebody else next to you because you're never going to be the same. And I think if you doubt yourself, that's also setting you up for failure. You need to keep looking forward, never look back. Don't focus on the negatives, and just think about how you can improve and what you can do better.
Trinity Rodman, to you, to your team, to your mum, and your future.
Thank you.
Courage.